Jonathan Davis of Locked On Longhorns. The Oklahoma Sooners get Tennessee to open up SEC play. They get Auburn on the road, Texas in Red River, South Carolina, I'll give you that one probably, but then get this, at Ole Miss, Maine, at Missouri, Alabama, at LSU. Say hello to the 6-6 Brent Venables Oklahoma Sooners. From my chair, OU is not ready to compete in the SEC.
I just want to say, piggybacking off of what I said in the last segment, right? Like, you have to look at the schedule and you have to look at the roster that the team is coming in with, right? And I think like it's the vast opposite of what we just described in terms of the scenario for Texas. You're talking about an Oklahoma team that's coming in with a depleted roster, was coming in with a lot of question marks. I mean, squarely at the most important position in quarterback, right? I mean, the next start that Jackson Arnold makes will be his second one, right? Like, I mean, then you're talking about winning high-level games in the SEC. And then you talked about that schedule, right? Like every team that Texas somewhat got to avoid, right? Because right now, if you talk about the teams that are up in the SEC, Texas got Georgia. That's it, right? The rest of the ones that are up in the SEC right now are all on Oklahoma's schedule. So, I mean, last year, it's crazy how things have flipped so fast, because I remember just a few years ago, Texas would come into the season just being able to brag if they beat Oklahoma. And Oklahoma was trying to win conference championships. And last year, Texas won a conference championship, and Oklahoma was just happy that they beat Texas. But when you look at the end of the season, all right, and no momentum, right? I think they start off 6-0 because they were still undefeated when they beat Texas, right? But then they end the season 4-3 with bad losses to, I think, all three teams they lost to, even though Arizona was good. Arizona, that was a bad game. Then they lost to
Kansas on the road.
Kansas, exactly, Kansas in the back half of the season. Lost to Jason Bean, right? I mean, Texas, come on now. But, so, I mean, they end the season with no momentum, going 4-3 in their last 7 games with everything right in front of them, right? I mean, conference championship, college football playoff appearance right in front of them. They haven't had a stellar offseason based on what I've seen. You know, I'm not just in Sooner Wire or anything like that. You know what I mean? But when you look at it, like, I think they lost their 2 best offensive linemen in terms of Tyler Guyton. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys. You know, hopefully he's our left tackle of the future. Then they lost the guard, right? The true freshman guard that was one of the best players on the team. He went to Missouri, and all of the Oklahoma fans, like, when it started commenting on his dad's insurance thing on Google, you know what I mean? So, the Oklahoma, they've just gotten like real Aggie-ish this offseason. But I mean, like, even say, like, when you look at the schedule, I was being generous and giving them 8-4, right? But they just feel real 8-4-ish right now. And I remember the days, like, when you're watching Oklahoma, you're coming into the season, you're like, damn, they got Jalen Hurts, or they got Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield.
Think back to Sam Bradford.
I mean, like, you used to come into the season like, damn, like, Oklahoma got players, right? And I'm like, who on their offense right now are we excited to watch? I mean, like, Jackson Arnold, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think right now they're relying on him to win games that Texas is not relying on Arch Manning to win, which I think is very telling. But who on this Oklahoma off? I mean, you coach Locked On. I mean, you host Locked On Big 12. You still got us till July 1st. So, like, who on that Oklahoma offense should we be excited about this year? Who moves the needle for Oklahoma offensively going into the SEC in 2024?
That's the thing, is every year you mentioned it, like, all right, CeeDee Lamb's going to be the guy. Okay, Jalen Hurts is going to make noise. All right, even Dylan Gabriel is going to be a guy who people got to watch out for in Big 12 play. And now moving to the SEC, where are your big names? Where's the guy that nationally, like Texas, okay, and again, I hate just tooting that horn, but you kind of got to when Quinn Ewers shows up on the front of NCAA 25. And NCAA 25 doesn't decide who's good at football, but it decides the stars of the game. When that guy is on the cover and Oklahoma is in essence non-existent, like, who would they put? Who would be the guy? Who's the guy you're like, you know what? That's the dude that I want to play with in that video game. Or that's the dude that I don't want to play against in real life in SEC ball. I don't think Oklahoma has it. And you're walking into, again, objectively, it's not me, it's just what it is, the best conference in college football still. Is it the deepest? There's a conversation. But from a top-heavy standpoint, that top 5 is better than any other top 5, period. And I don't think Oklahoma's ready for that.
Right. I would agree with that. The next point I want to get into, like, we're just going to, like, surgically, you know what I mean? Like, you know, dissect this Oklahoma football team.
Cut them up.
Yeah. What would you say after 2 years, right? We've now seen, 2 years of the Brent Venables experience. What would you say Brent Venables' superpower is, right? Like where can Brent Venables win his team a game that they potentially are not supposed to win. Yep. What advantage do they have coaching wise going into the SEC, Drake?
Ooh, the argument that a lot of OU fans want to give you is that Venables was too hands off in year one, that he was kind of the field general, Nick Saban type, let the assistants cook. And that obviously didn't work. They got cranked. And then in year two, Venables takes over more of the defensive side of things and play calling. And then they win 10 games. And I'm with you. I don't know if it was an impressive 10 games. I don't know if their 10-3 record, especially the way it ended with that loss to Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Arizona, was impressive enough for me to say, oh, wow, Oklahoma's scary in the SEC. I also don't like, there's still a rift. There's still a quarter of OU fans who are like, I don't think Brent Venables is the coach of the future. And when that's what your fan base thinks, whereas in a Texas scenario, everybody's bought into Steve Sarkisian, who's coming off a college football playoff appearance, that's not good. Not good for the boys in Norman.
Yeah, I'm just, when I look at it, you know what I mean? And I'm definitely not, I mean, you know me, Drake, like, you know, I'm not Texas homer to the point where I'm just going to come on here and bash Oklahoma for no reason, right? If I felt like they had a healthy football program right now, or I felt like they were going to come into the season and make noise, like I said, I still have them at 8-4, right? Even with everything we've just described, even though you've kind of pushed me a little bit closer to 6-6.
Well, look,
they still have to play Texas outside of all those other schools you mentioned in the SEC. But like I said, you know, if you're an Oklahoma fan, and this is where I say that they're feeling real Aggie-ish right now, because Texas A&M, like, everybody can logically look at Texas A&M, even when they bring in one of the best recruiting classes of all time, and we can be like, we can still put it in perspective and say, like, yeah, that's Texas A&M. Like, you may feel great about what you have, but we know how it's going to end. And I feel like everybody's looking at Oklahoma like that right now. Like Oklahoma, look at what y'all have. Look at what y'all lost. Like, what do you have to be excited about? How can you realistically go into the SEC thinking you're just going to win 10 games? And it's like, they're looking at it like they have the best roster since sliced bread. And it's just really reminiscent of, like, Texas A&M. Like, it just feels real Aggie-ish to me right now, like how they can look at what they have and feel like they're being slept on. Like, if everybody's sleeping on you, you're probably the one wrong. Like, or you're probably the one sleep. Like, Drake, let me know something.
Yeah. I'll end it with this. When it comes to Oklahoma, I really believe that in the Big 12, they are a preseason number 4 if Texas and OU are still there, behind teams like Utah, Oklahoma State, who beat them last year, returns in essence everybody. The Sooners wouldn't be a scary team in Big 12 play. Texas ahead of them, Oklahoma State ahead of them, Utah ahead of them. In the SEC, I can guarantee you they're going to lose at Ole Miss. They're going to lose at Missouri, to Alabama, and to LSU. That's your last 4 SEC games of the season. Good luck even before that at Auburn. Not good. Not good in Norman. Coming up, good for the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma leaving. Can this conference stay alive? Locked on Big 12, Locked on Longhorns. Your team as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Look, FanDuel's where I go. End of the month is coming up, and it's like rent is due. And it's like, do I want to lean on FanDuel? Well, you don't have to lean on them, but you can sure have a little bit of fun with it. FanDuel is my place to go, with the NHL and NBA being in the playoffs. Now, I don't watch a lot of NHL hockey, but I do like the Dallas Stars because I live in the Dallas area. And so I'll go bet on them to win their series at FanDuel. I'll put $50 on it to win $50. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Do I know a lot about hockey? No. Do I like betting on the team that wins? Yes. I think the Stars are going to win, so I'll bet on them at FanDuel. It's $150 in spreads, in money lines, player props, more. You can use it on all that if your $5 bet hits. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. That is FanDuel.com/locked-on, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com today.